Welcome, Divine Hearts, and thank you so much for returning to us again. My name is Lois, and this week we have a really wonderful guest returning to us. She is Sophia Alina, and Sophia is a huge, huge heart, a huge energy on the planet at this time, and she is emitting such beautiful frequencies to assist all of us. She serves as a transformational guide, a life and health coach, a sound healer, a soul activator, and she has moved through many, many transformations during this life that has brought her to great wisdom around many areas involving health and compassion and love. And so I can't wait to explore more of these areas with Sophia today. Thank you so much, Sophia, for being here with us.
Oh, thank you, Lois. It's such an honor and joy to be with you. You're such a shining light. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And you have been an immense light, especially in my awareness, for some time. We have spoken before, and when we came together last time, you were sharing a lot of your experiences, these transformational experiences that you've had during this lifetime in particular, and how they've brought you to these areas of wisdom within yourself, or deeper remembrance from within yourself, within these areas of health and growth and deeper spaces of the heart. And this is what I feel with you every time I see your posts on Facebook, or when I see you and your transmissions. And I know that this is the energy that you hold and you carry, that you've come to greater spaces of embodiment of heart more and more. And how you express this love, how you express this compassion just through your energy. And so I wanted to see if we could move into compassion and have you share how this has come to be within you, how you experience it, and also maybe the journey to compassion, because in the beginning, we may struggle to hold that level of compassion within us. And for you to share your experience around this.
Thank you. Compassion is it's like it has taken me I needed to really go into a lot of the wounds within my heart and soul to be able to open my heart as much as I've done. I know that we can just continue and continue and continue to open our hearts. I went through a very difficult childhood, and I know we are many on planet Earth who has been there and still are there. And my heart closed. In one way, it really closed, and I ended up being very disconnected from my body and my soul. I remember as a little girl, I had a very, very clear connection with the divine, with my soul, and with angels, especially angels. I would collect angels' photos, and I would sit and talk what I now know is light language. And when I went through all these difficulties, the traumas, in the beginning, I could kind of feel supported and soothed by having that connection. for some reason, and I don't need to know why, I got so traumatized that I just shut off and was very disconnected with my body and my soul. And that went on for many years. So, and this expressed itself, of course, in me not knowing who I was, why I was here on earth, and just following, being very dominated by my father and by the outer world, kind of just going into a very deep slumber of being very caught up in the matrix and with all the density. And then I would say, luckily, I fell more and more ill, and eventually I was I was severely ill, and I couldn't do anything. So I had to kind of, my soul, without me knowing it, my soul would kind of push me into an awakening, into the dark night of the soul. So being bedbound, being left by myself, nobody could help me, my family wouldn't support me, doctors couldn't help me. And that was a blessing. In the beginning, of course, it was scary as a human being and all that. But as I kind of went into that decade of the dark night of the soul, and of course, this started in 2009, just before the major shift on Earth in 2012. And it's amazing to see this hindsight, to see how this is all kind of fitting in. And I didn't then realize what was going on, but later on I started to open up to the angelic realm again. I would start to open up to the cosmic whales and dolphins and all these different aspects within me. And in the middle of all of this, in 2012, I met my beloved partner. And of course, I see it very clearly now that he needed to come into my life so I could feel safe enough to start to open up. And he has come to Earth with a very big heart, a very kind heart, with a lot of universal love. So he could hold the space when I started to have trauma release. My body would shake, violently, and I would cry, and I could just feel my heart opening, and it was quite painful. At the same time, every time I would open my heart more, I would feel a release afterwards. I would feel like, oh, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming back to me. And of course, when we as human beings are, let's say, pushed or squeezed into the dark night of the soul, or the awakening, or whatever we call it, of course, it can feel very scary and whatever we call it. At the same time, it's such a beautiful journey, because in my perspective, we come gradually into our hearts, into who we actually are on a soul level. And that's where we find the compassion for ourselves and for others. And I've needed to choose compassion and self-love for me in order to be able to exercise, practice, whatever we call it, compassion for human beings in general. And I'm still challenged with the compassion for humanity. I have it with me. I have a very deep compassion for humanity with me, something that you tap into. I can even see it in something that's called human design. It's like a specific, I'm not going to go into that, but it's actually when I look into what's called human design, people can look it up themselves. It's actually says there that in my design, in this lifetime, I have brought with me deep compassion for humanity. The thing is that I've been I've really had to transform, because when we as human beings go through so much wounding and trauma and whatever it is, all this density, it's very natural for us to close off, contract, and you know, more or less go into the shadow sides, whatever that is for each person there and then in the moment. So for me, it's like the transformation has all these layers of transformation have opened up my heart, first of all, for my self-love and self-compassion, and then that will radiate out, because for me it starts within and then it radiates out. And sometimes I can get very impatient with humanity, so that's when I start laughing a little bit, because my soul will say, well, you need to be patient, because I would like humanity to move faster. And that's also kind of into what is compassion. I need to be patient, because that's also part of compassion, to be patient and to really see that each human being, they are just where they're supposed to be, and they might struggle, you know, be very scared and feel very lonely, and so I'm still learning and experiencing how can I hold the human being just where they are and allow them to take their steps in their own self-empowerment. And so it's compassion is a huge, I don't know, it's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
I see it as it's the gateway. It's the freedom.
Yeah.
It's like everything that's come before has been the love has been taken out of the experience, so that we can experience the complete opposite of what we truly are. And that the returning to compassion, this is why I find the way you share it, the way you've experienced it, and the way you share it now, the way you embody it now, is so powerful. And it's part of the next chapter of us as a humanity, the returning, the unifying, and the love coming back.
Yeah. Mm.
And
yeah,
so
that's so fully said. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're emanating this frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's had an effect on others in various ways. Unexpectedly for you, maybe, when you were sitting next to somebody, or shared a little bit about how you've seen it affect others too, if that makes sense. I know that because this energy can be felt and it can often be seen. So I know that sometimes when you're placed in places, you're placed there on purpose, on mission in a way. And that it's a gateway to assist others to open up and release too, because it's such a huge process. So you've witnessed and experienced that happening to others with you being there, which I find really beautiful and profound. And if those experiences come through sometimes unexpectedly, and sort of when you're out and about, and often too maybe when you're in sessions, or going to create workshops like you do too, share a little bit about those experiences of how you work with others sometimes,
Sometimes it's difficult for me to put words to it, because it's like I feel it happens on such a deep level, and also in on an etherical level. It's like I can't really touch it and can't really understand it. It's just happening, and I think I feel very strongly that it's because we are energy. I mean, in our mind, we will look at ourselves like, yes, we are born into this beautiful body, this temple, this physical temple. At the same time, we are energy, and we have so many layers of energy, at least, 7 energy bodies. And most of us, we relate to 4 of them: the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. And so when you and I as energies, when we meet, so many things will happen. And in a way, it's not for us to rationalize it. I feel it's more for us to observe the magic of it, because we are so much more than even though a human being is beautiful and this body is the temple, we are so much more than the physical body. And I have one example coming up, and that's I went to a silent retreat in Sri Lanka just before the pandemic, and I shared a room with a wonderful woman, and we were in silence, so that I didn't get to know her as, where do we live, blah, 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 all these things that we usually kind of get into. So we would be together, we would be in this, share a room, same bed. So we would sleep in each other's aura. And the last 1.5 days we were at this retreat, I think it lasted for like 8 days or something. We had some free time and we could talk again. And she asked me, Sophia, would you like to go and just explore the neighborhood? There's supposed to be some really nice stores around here. And I said, yeah, sure. And in a way, we had connected so much, just being in each other's energy for several days. And then we came back to the room after a while. It was very hot in Sri Lanka. So we, as Norwegians, we lasted for a little while, and then we went back to the place we stayed. And then she took out a book that she had bought in one of the stores, a beautiful, typical Asian notebook with elephants and different bright colors on it. And then she looked at me and she said, Sophia, I would like to thank you. And I said, oh, yeah, I bought this book and I'm going to go back home and I'm going to use this when I go into changing my diet, because I know that I need to change my diet. And it was just so interesting, because I have taken so many changes with my diet. So she had just picked that up, and also observed me when I ate food, that I would ask for a lot more fruits. Yeah, so she had observed me asking for a lot more fruits, because in Asia, as you know, living in Singapore, I mean, there's tons of beautiful fruits, right? Tropical fruits. And I asked for more fruits, and if we could have coconuts, and drink coconut water. And at the same time, I just knew that she had picked up something from my aura, from my energy, because I've been on the journey with purifying my body with medical medium Anthony William for now it's 7 years. So that at that time it was 5 years. So she was going home. She had just picked that up, and I think it's such a great kind of daily example. We can just meet, and we have no idea how we get affected by the aura of someone, by someone else, their energy. So for me, as we choose to go into transformations and release and purge all these old densities that we've been through for many generations, it will have such a, and kind of and through all that pain and trauma, we how do you call it in English? We exert, or we take out the wisdom through that, and then we extract this wisdom, and then we actually carry this wisdom in our energy, so that people, they get, I mean, I'm a sound healer, and I know I can activate people with sound. At the same time, we actually activate each other. Now I get goosebumps. It's like, this is a confirmation. We activate each other through just meeting, you know, walking around.
You access, or you go through your journey and you gain those keys inside, or these codes, and then they're held within you because you've integrated the whole journey, the whole process. And then, isn't it just amazing? It's just so beautiful. Then you have those and they can ping in somebody else. It's just...
Yeah, and the soul knows. It's not up to our mind and the kind of that. The soul just knows. It just knows. Somebody's like, "Oop, oh, I'm ready for this," and we don't have to understand who we met or whatever. It doesn't matter. She knew. And that's fine. A lot of times we have no idea. We just meet somebody and we feel like it's something nice, or it can even be, colliding with somebody in the energy. It can be almost like a confrontation energy-wise, and it still can just catapult us or whatever into something new. And if it takes a day or a week or a year or 5 years, it doesn't matter. Something will change. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
We're not doing this for ourselves, we're doing it for everyone else.
Yeah.
All of us.
It's so beautiful. And you're speaking there about your sound healing work. How would you explain that? How does that work? Do you see it as when you use sound that it opens something up in someone else, or is it you share with us how you feel that, because it's so powerful, it's so deep, it takes us into really deep spaces, and it opens many dimensions.
Yeah, you said it. You have the answer. You're answering the question to me. Question.
I'm thinking,
I love the way you said
it. Because I'm thinking back to experiences of, I remember going to have somebody doing singing bowls, and how many dimensions all at once opened up. So seeing the whale consciousness and the dolphins, and then these ETs, and so there's so many things happening all at once, as if the whole veil was opened, so I could see a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there was no way of really explaining it. I didn't really understand what had happened. It didn't matter. My mind didn't need to know. I didn't need to know, just to experience that. But it's so profound.
It's very profound, and sound is for me, sound is a very, very ancient mode of medicine, call it, or healing. And I know that during the Avalon civilization, we would throughout that civilization, we would not talk. We would communicate telepathically, And the sound we would use as Avalonians, we would use the sounds to create. So it was, and it was a very sacred, it was something very sacred. And when we create with sound from our heart, it's like, I don't think we can fathom what kind of a creation it can be. We start to see it. I know that I went to a sound healing workshop with a very interesting Danish sound healer. She has been a sound healer and experiencing that for many, many years. I would guess 30, 40 years now. And now I follow her newsletters, and now she has, now they're starting to get direct proofs what actually sound can do. So now she can have a sound healing session with a person, let's say a woman who has cancer in her breast, and they can now measure how the cancer, the cyst, will start to shrink as they are using the sound. And I know this has been proven before in China, for example. However, it's really beautiful to see that it's happening several places on Earth. And she has educated quite many sound healers, and they start to report the same thing back, that they have more and more people coming with different kinds of cancer, and they are being treated at the hospital. They know the size of the tumors, and the doctors, they don't understand anything, because they come back 2 weeks later and the tumor is like 1/3 of the size. So the sound can dissolve tumors, and that's just one example. And in my own, I've done some, last year I did sound healings in groups. So I would take like 12 people in a physical group. I would use a gong and, of course, my voice, intuitive sound, light language, and crystal ball, a very, very powerful crystal ball. And one woman would come, and I think she came like 3 times throughout the year. And she came to me and she said, "Sophia, I really need to thank you deeply." And I was just standing and I said, "You see, I'm now finally pregnant." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, wonderful." And I didn't know anything about her, because I just take people in. I know nothing about them. And I just have them, we don't talk. I just say hello, kind of. And then they just lie down on the mats. And then I just go into transmitting the light, the keys and the codes of divine through the sound and the instruments. And she said, "I know it's because I came to you." And I said, "Really?" And she said, we've struggled so much with me becoming pregnant, and I just know that it's because I came here. So something opened, like you said, something opened in her, so she could actually receive that soul into her, so she could birth that soul. So she had a boy then, some months later. And that's just one example. And the other one is the woman I did, like you followed the Facebook transmissions I had during the pandemic. And she sent me a message and said, "Thank you so much for doing the transmissions, live transmissions on Facebook, because it opened me so much more into her contact with her Arcturian guide, because she had a guide from Arcturus, and it just opened a whole new dimension into her aspect of, from Arcturus and her. She said it was like it bridged her into that dimension of Arcturus. And I, for me, it's like, so I have no idea what's going on, because this is for each soul. each human being and their soul to dive into and explore and to choose, how much they kind of go into that dimension or several dimensions. However, it's beautiful once in a while to have a feedback to kind of, then I know that this is why you came here, and this is continue on that path. It's like my soul is okay, she needs another little witness.
Uplift. Yes.
So she's pushed more into so
but it's so magical. It's so magical when you hear those things. It's just beautiful. And it's speaking about the power of the heart. And when you're able to hold that frequency, it's this doorway. It allows others to be able to access something because you're holding that frequency. So this higher hertz frequency, this heart frequency, that's takes you out of the density. So people may be walking in density for much of the day, and then they're given an opportunity of coming into a space where there's just an immense heart frequency, which gives you again that access to something higher, so that you can gain that freshness again, that expanse again, and that connection again.
You are so spot on, because it is for taking the human. I open up my heart and transmit the keys and the codes of divine, so that those who are attracted to co-creating with me, they can move up from their lower chakras and they can move down from their higher chakras, because the balance is within the, I'm channeling now, the balance is within the heart chakra. This is where we actually access all the dimensions within us. This is where we access the universe within us. So we need to come down from the higher chakras and up from the lower chakras, because the balance and the gateway, as you call it, the entry point, the 0 point, is within the heart chakra. And that's why it's so essential that we continue releasing the wounds, the shadow sides from the past, so that we can release the lower density in the lower chakras, so it's easier for us to come into the heart chakra. And that's why it's also very essential that we pull in and embody the spiritual part of us. Because we are not only the human in the lower chakras, and we are not only the soul in the higher chakras. We come together, we merge together in the heart chakra. This is where we merge as a human and as a soul. So this is what I am. This is part of what I am assisting people with, to come into that heart space and into the universe that we actually are, where we can access any dimension and any potential that we have. Because all human beings, they come here with higher potentials, and these potentials are shown in the heart chakra. They're not shown here, they're not shown in the lower part, they are shown in here. This is where the crystalline portal is. This, in the heart, this is where we find only the highest and finest and most crystalline energies. This is the portal. eramashuku nesara kapasidere asnamara isuta emaki ushnia asterida kadapue.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. And there's so many things there. There's one thing that's made me really interested is your connection with Avalon. And this is the first time I've heard of your connection with Avalon. And if you're happy to share a little bit more about that, when did you start to feel that aspect of you, or that remembrance of you, and what does it feel like?
I think it was just at the beginning of the pandemic. I was guided to have a soul reading with Judith Kusel.
Oh, yes.
And I know you have interviewed her a couple of times.
Yes.
And I sent the request for a sound healing, and a soul reading. I kind of went into a and it was so profound, because at that time, for me, the pandemic, the great part of it was that my beloved partner and I, we moved out in the countryside just before the pandemic. And then we realized that happened because we were supposed to be in a very quiet, pristine place where we were kind of living outside all the fear. So we had a wonderful time during the pandemic, just staying in this beautiful place. And so I had this soul reading with her, and the Avalonian aspect, or a life I had in Avalon, came through her soul reading. And it was so, because she said I could ask questions. So I asked questions like, what is my highest purpose with the light language and all the sounds coming through me? And, what is this? Is there anything you could say about this? So she said that comes from Avalon, that I was a high priestess of some kind of an order, a bardic order, and that I had very much wisdom around sound during that life in Avalon. And she said that indeed I was here to transmit those keys and codes from that. And that the magic is that I don't really enjoy living in a very cold country. And I've lived in Singapore, where you live. I've lived in other warm, nice places. At the same time, I'm pulled back to Norway. So, I've moved back here several times. And through that soul reading, she said that Avalon, I'm connected to the Avalon, the energy of Avalon that is under the sea outside Norway, between Norway and Great Britain. So I'm connected to the Avalon energies there. So I pull kind of the wisdom from there, and also from my galactic connections. So when I go into transmitting the keys and codes of divine, I'm connected earthly into the Avalon energies on earth, and then also to sound, technology, wisdom from, and that's again above and below. We are both. We are earth and we are cosmos. So for me, it's such a beautiful example how when we open the heart, we can actually take in the earthly wisdom throughout eons of years, and we can take in the cosmic wisdom, and we can merge them. They are merged in the heart. So she kind of, in a way, I knew that she was kind of pushing me to kind of, this is why you're here. You are here for this. And I kind of went into a little bit of contraction after that. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I'm kind of in and out of it. I will kind of pull back and isolate myself, and then I will go out there and be in service. And now I realize that, come on, Sophia, you need to go step full into it. So I think that's where I'm at now, to step full into it. So if that can inspire some of your listeners, that, you know, our soul really and our body really wants us to step into our higher purpose. And if I can inspire people to you know, that's where the magic is.
Yes.
When we step into why we're here, why we're truly here, that's where the magic is.
Oh, yes. And that's such a powerful message. Over sort of the recent year, let's say, how have you found your energies changed, if you feel they have changed, or are there new areas you feel drawn to, or new spaces within yourself that you feel are opening up, or different ways of working or communicating, maybe different sounds? Because you're evolving always. You're not the same Sophia that we spoke to last year.
No, that's true. I can very easily feel it and hear it when light language comes through. Like the Avalonian aspect. My beloved partner and I went on a trip to Budapest just before Easter, and we knew we were going to do some energy work there. So we actually opened a crystal portal there. That's something I do I just do it. It's like a work I do. It's very, it's just one of the things I'm asked to do, that I can just sit, and then suddenly I'm asked by my guides and soul, whatever, to open crystalline portals around in the world. So I do that. A lot of times I can do it. I just do it by myself. And sometimes he will come with me, and we will co-create. And after I opened that portal in Budapest, being beautifully supported by him, and suddenly we were just going into some kind of a thing when we came back a couple of days later in this place we stayed. And we were asked to connect our hearts together, and that's where a lot of magic happens between him and me. We connect our hearts, and then it's like we open a portal where it's like it's I cannot really explain it. And then suddenly I went into something. I just had to lie down on the bed, and I started to get guidance that I needed to let go of something. So I would just lie there and breathe and shake and cry a little bit. And then suddenly I was just asked, are you willing to fully embody your Avalonian aspect? And, you know, I'm like, I love this. So I just say yes. I don't think about anything. I just say yes. And then afterwards, and I could just see how it came through. Usually they give me a crystal. I know that you're really into Andaras. They usually give me a crystal or Andara or something and ask me to place it somewhere in my body. That's usually how I kind of see the changes within me. They just give me a crystal, and then I place it somewhere in my body, and then my energy changes. And then I came out of that, and I looked at my beloved partner. I said, I am asked if you are willing to receive the Avalonian aspect, because he also has connection to Avalon, and I'm sure we are many on earth, many. And then he said yes, and we would sit down and close our eyes, and I would open my mouth, and this just really foreign sounds would come up through me, like, it's like, and I didn't recognize any. It was like totally different sounds. Totally different. So when you ask yes, we change energy. We change as we purge the old, release the old, sadness, anger, whatever it is. And we all have our own ways of evolving, and as we say yes to that through the purging and through receiving the new energies, or to clear our energies and be more of the light that we are, yes, it will change. I can hear it. That's the really clear way when I start talking. That was actually Avalonian.
I love the freedom, the joy of it. It's beautiful. And
so thank you. Because your
no,
question, I get more kind of, oh yeah, that's how it changes. So yes, we change energy every single time that we purge and we release density. We change. We lit up more and more and more.
it's so beautiful. I'm finding it really interesting because over the last few years, I've been speaking a lot of English, and for me, being brought up in Wales, I didn't start to speak English until I was much older, because the whole community was Welsh speaking, and we did everything in Welsh, and so I was always thinking in Welsh, and speaking English was a bit more challenging. And I didn't feel like I was fully expressing myself when I spoke English, that there was another version of me that was coming through. But over these years, it's just been predominantly English because we've been living in different places. And now, so the Welsh comes back again, and it's so funny. It's like hearing a different sound in the mouth again, but it's fascinating. So hearing you with the Avalonian sounds, there's so many, because in Welsh there's all these guttural sounds, and you use all the areas within your mouth. And I will be returning to Wales soon to live, and so it's really interesting, the sounds and language. So now returning to use this old language again, these sounds again more frequently. So it's just so fascinating. So it was lovely to hear the Avalonian sounds.
Yes, and they are activations for the ones who are to receive them. So for the ones who are listening to this, the ones who are here to receive the activations from Avalon, they will receive it with ease and grace. With ease and grace. And you there, you might be one of them. And there might be just why. That might be why you are returning back to your homeland, because it's your homeland more than in this lifetime. And you know this. You need to go back to anchor in the energies that you are. I see you, I honor you, and I love you for being here and anchoring in the beautiful, beautiful, sweet and loving and very enveloping energies that you bring through.
Thank you, Sophia. I love you too.
You are being seen now because you are here with a much greater purpose than you can understand.
Thank you. spoke about how when you were younger, you had moved out of your body, in a sense, separated from your body. Today, how do you feel within yourself today?
No, that's a wonderful question. I'm a lot more in my body now, yes. Because now I feel safe. Because I went through sexual abuse, repeated sexual abuse as a girl, and it happened in my home. So of course my home was not a safe place. My family was not a safe place. So so every time I would, even as a grown-up, every time I would be near them or talk to my mom on the phone or something, it would just heighten my fight and flight and the survival mode. And I suppressed this. I mean, I put it into my subconscious, so I didn't remember anything before I was in my 50s. That's when I met my beautiful, beloved partner. And then I felt safe enough, a man that had so much love that he could hold me. And then I would start to have flashbacks. And so I didn't remember anything before I was in my 50s. And now when I look back, I see that I disconnected a lot from my body and from my soul. I guess it's kind of like it's a survival mechanism. It's a way of trying to feel safe in this world. And then when I went on my journey, with the dark night of the soul and the illness and all this, I started to come back to my body little by little. And I mean, when I met my beloved partner in 2012, I was so numb in my body that I didn't even know I had pain in my body. And I was this happy, I had been this happy girl, totally in denial. So I would go around and be this huge people pleaser and very happy and, loving with people. But my connection with my emotions and my body was like, so me falling so ill, it was like my soul had to break me. I had to go through a breakdown, and it felt like it was physically, but of course it's all the energy bodies are a part of this. And I had to break down to break through. I had to experience the total helplessness, being bedbound, and then start to take back my own power to go into powerfulness, from powerlessness to powerfulness. And I think it's like my journey is like it's like a metaphor for anybody's journey. It just looks different. The story is just different. The way we perceive it, the way we feel it, it's just different from each person. And but it's been amazing. So now I can go for massages and I can really feel my body. I can feel the pains coming out of my body. And a lot of times if I have a pain and I have a masseur, or my beloved partner, he's also really good at massaging. And I mean, not like stroking, but pushing, go into the inflamed areas and just push. And then I will usually an emotion will come with it. And talking about sound, I will also use sound. When it really hurts, when he's pushing on these physically sore areas, I will just use a sound, and then the emotion will come. I will start crying a little bit. And that's how we have survived every time we felt a hurt or a betrayal or something as kids and young adults. We just put it somewhere in our bodies, and then these it has to be released in some way. So my contact with my body is really getting there. And my emotions, I've been crying for a decade at least, crying and crying. And the more I've been crying, the more I laugh. The deeper my kind of, the deeper my releases are, the releases of grief and sadness and anger, and the more I laugh, I mean, I can feel that I go back to being a child where we could laugh from the bottom of our tummy. You know, it's just kind of rolling out now, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, so it's such a journey. The more willing we are to release very, very deep, the kind of higher into the joy and the ecstasy, whatever we call it, the euphoria we can go. So it's like, it's really interesting. I find it fascinating. So I cried a lot, and then after that, quite much anger came. So I've been running around in the house, cursing, and you know, when I went into spirituality, I was kind of like, you know, oh, up there, and it's heaven and angels and crystals, and nothing wrong with that. And then, you know, as I understood that, okay, you need to release all the density. Well, then it's a lot of, I've been cursing, and I've been so angry. I've been angry with the universe, with the earth, with my parents, with myself, so it doesn't look just angels and to awaken. It's and this for me, this is maybe one of the messages that I will be very clear about, because my beloved partner and I, we know that we know that that's part of a journey to go into having retreats where people can go really into their transformation, you know, and have a safe place with love and compassion. And it's so important that we accept that the part of the purging and releasing is actually to take out all those emotions, get them out through the throat chakra, curse and say, just because that's not going to hurt anybody. We just find a place in nature or somewhere in the house or wherever, get it out. It has to come out of the body. I've cried so much, and then after that, anger. And especially for women, we're told not to be angry. Yes, we are here to be angry. Get it out. All the suppression throughout thousands of years, we need to get it out. Not towards anybody, not with anybody, just get it out. Go out in nature and take a stick and slam it on a rock, throw rocks in the water. I mean, get the fireplace going. Whatever people get into, write it down and throw it on the fire. I say it's also important to get it out of the throat chakra. We're not here to be nice and cute all the time. No. Get it out. Spit it out. Scream it out.
Yes, the throat chakra has always been an area for me that's, yes, lots of resistance there, issues, holding back, losing my voice often, not feeling that there's power there, all these things. And also, I was sharing with you before we recorded the conversation about the release, the importance of coming to see the density in whichever way you're guided by your soul. So for you, this memory returning to see it again, in a sense, or to understand what had taken place within you and having to experience that to release it again. I was called to look at the density of the 3D, to look at how far we had fallen into unconsciousness or separation, to really look at, because although there were aspects of me that knew the depth of experiences that had been playing out on Earth, there was this, I'm not quite wanting to take a look, not quite wanting to see. So really having to take myself to really look at that, and then the power of that, the release of that, and not only for me when the release came, but to see it with my children too, releasing, how powerful it was when we start to really work with how we're guided to remove the density, because it is inside. And as we do this work, we're assisting others to be able to do it too, because we didn't realize we were holding that consciousness in place inside. And so it's really very powerful, very, very powerful what you're speaking about there, because it's an inside job. And it's for us to go in and take responsibility, to really go in there. There's so many ways we could say it, weeding the garden, or however we want to describe it. And always with you, Sophia, it's this compassion, is just this heart. You're just this heart moving around the world. And this divine feminine frequency, this divine mother. And it's just something I wanted to touch with you as well, if you're happy to share a little bit about this journey of the mother journey, how it's expanded for you to become the divine mother frequency, how you feel that to be within your experience, and maybe your connection. Maybe you feel more of a connection with Mary, Mother Mary, or Mary Magdalene, or maybe it's none of those things, and maybe it's just the Divine Mother for you to share, because it's such an integral part of your frequency now, especially with your name, Sophia, as well.
I was asked to change my name. That was also at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was given this name, Sophia Alila. So I changed my name. And suddenly and then just 2 or 3 months after that, a book by Kaira, which is with the title Sophia Code, came into my awareness, and I dived into that, and then I realized a lot more around, wow, because we've been in a patriarchy for a very, very long time, so very many women and also men holding natural feminine energy as they do, all the feminine, the feminine energy in the women and the men has been so suppressed for such a long time. And then now we are ready as a humanity to step into that beautiful feminine energy that we all are, women and men. And the Sophia Code book is amazing for those who are attracted to that. It's and I just kind of remembered so much more, and the lineage of the Divine Mother, with the Sophia being like the umbrella, kind of like holding all the feminine energy as the Divine Mother, as the feminine aspect of God, the source, whatever we call it, and then the lineage down with all the ascended feminine masters, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Isis, Queen Guanyin, Green Tara, all these amazing feminine masters, and it just kind of fell into place because I've had Mary Magdalene she's very prominent with me. She's like the guide and the mentor that she's very close with me. Like when I'm in meditations, she will very often come and be with me, and she's the one who said, "Sing from your heart," and she supported me in opening up my throat chakra because it was very closed off, very, very much so. I couldn't sing, and so she helped me to open up, and to go step into my purpose with transmitting the sounds, the keys and the codes. She's still very prominent with me. She's very present with me. Of course, I can feel Mother Mary and the other Isis, and at the same time, she's the one who's very, very close with me, and every Easter, it's like every year around Easter and every year around in December, I feel that she and Joshua are very, very present. It's like, then I usually go into a lot of silence. I'm not very social. I like to kind of just dwell in that. It's like they're very present. And for me, Joshua is always with her. At the same time, she's always standing in front of him to show me that this is the time for Earth to open up to the feminine within us again. So that's why I see her standing in front of him. He's standing just behind her to show that we are always together. But this is the time where she's very needed to it's and I also I'm drawn into churches, and it's not because I'm religious, it's because I'm very deeply spiritual. And especially when I go to Catholic countries, you go into the churches and they have Mother Mary there, and it's a more feminine kind of, and in the last years, maybe 5-6 years, every time I come into a church and I see Jesus on the cross, I get this resistance, and eventually I understood why. Because when we see Jesus on the cross, it's all the suffering. And I remember I said to my beloved partner maybe 2 years ago, I said, he is not to be expressed or shown to us on a cross, because now it's the time for us to step out of the suffering and into the wisdom. And that's why I feel that, they came to earth. Joshua and Mary Magdalene came to earth to mirror to us how powerful we are and that we can step out of the suffering. And now the feminine, it's pouring in more and more of the feminine energy from above, from Sophia and all the beautiful feminine lineage, feminine master lineage. And then for us to really accept that we are moving out of that picture of him on the cross, the suffering, and into the wisdom and into the self-empowerment and the responsibility of being who we really are, and to create from within and to be responsible for that, and to step out of the suffering, to step out of the pain and create a new life, a new reality here on earth. sometimes it's like I feel like I'm in a movie. I can't really understand how amazing it is to be on Earth right now. Because this is real. This is real. We're actually stepping out of density into freedom, into authenticity, into sovereignty, into self-empowerment, into joy, into love, into compassion, into balance, into purification. I mean, we're purifying. We're rebalancing. And women, we need to step up, because even though, yes, the feminine energy is within both of us, men and women, at the same time, and I can hardly say this because it's coming so strongly through me, we need to step up. We as women, we need to step up. We need to rise up. This is the time. This is the time to be brave, to speak up, to show who we are. We are so powerful. And we carry so much love and so much compassion and so much nurturing. And we are so receptive. And we are so intuitive. This is the time to step up, rise up.
Thank you so much, Sophia.
And we can do this.
We can do this.
Yeah, we are doing it.
We are doing it. We are doing it. And it's with such gratitude to immense beings like you who are really going through the full process and leading the way in many ways with your frequencies, with your light, and with your heart. And
it's I know that Lee Harris had a very nice video out on YouTube yesterday or something where he talks about trauma. And I know it's because his guides, the C's, have told him that he needs to go live and talk about trauma. And we might be quite many who will need to really go into the density to release and purge a lot of that wounding, for us to really step into our own self-empowerment. So I say to the listeners, find somebody that can hold you, hold the space for you. If it's a good friend, or, you know, it doesn't have to be a healer, somebody that you feel safe with. If it's really challenging in certain time to go through this, I mean, I have my beloved partner, so I know how valuable it is to have somebody who can hold the space. This is not a journey where we, even though we need to go through it, each and every one of us, if you need someone to be there and hold space with you through some of this, ask for someone to be with you and to hold the space. We are not here to be alone in this. We are here to be holding this space for each other. And that's also part of the feminine in each one of us, to be there for each other.
absolutely.
Yeah. I just
Thank
needed to
you.
say that.
Yes, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You've shared so many powerful keys and codes and messages. Is there, it's just so beautiful. Is there anything else you feel at this time you would like to share?
Thank you for holding. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here on Earth with your beautiful light. Lois, thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's complete. I can feel that it's complete.
That's beautiful. I will be sharing all of your details below this video so that people can find you easily. All your beautiful offerings and just you in general.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being
I'm in the process of creating a
website.
Yeah, a website. So sometime later on this year, I will have my own website coming up, so people can find me there too. But I will post that on Facebook and Instagram whenever people. So I will be more visual as who I am and what my services are.
And when you
I need to step it up. And we are people. We
yes,
need to step it up.
We are all going to be stepping it up. And I'm excited. Yes.
Step up.
You were speaking about retreats too, and that sounds powerful. Very, very powerful indeed.
They will come.
Thank you so much, Sophia. It's been an absolute honor and delight to be able to connect with you again. You're a beautiful and bright light. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lois. And I send so much love and compassion and gratitude to each one out there.